All right, we are going to start the paper Audit and Assurance F8, and this is one of the important paper of the skill level. And when we are saying important, that means this paper will be actually giving you the practical knowledge that you need in your field work. Like you have studied the F4 paper, which is the law paper. You studied the company law and the contract and the tort. That will give you the basic knowledge of the law paper, of the law. But you are not going to apply that practically in your life because you are not a lawyer. The objective of that paper was to give you a legal understanding of the legal structure, where you can go, how many courts are there, and things like that. But that paper was not making you a lawyer. But remember this thing that this F8 paper, which is Audit and Assurance, is going to make you an auditor. This paper deals with the practical auditing. This paper will be teaching you how we do the audit, which you need in your practical life, because we are the chartered accountants and we are in the audit and assurance. We are in the financial reporting. So we need this practical knowledge. So remember this thing that whenever even you go to the interviews, the most of the interviews and most of the tests you will be appearing for will be testing this F7 financial reporting and F8 knowledge. And they'll not be testing you the things like which is related to the law, which is related to the taxation, because the taxation, every tax is different. Like it depends on the jurisdiction, for example. So the audit and assurance paper is a very important paper when it comes to skill level. It's a very important paper. This is the first thing you need to know. And in this lecture, I'll be explaining to you each and every area of the F8 paper. And I'll be making your base regarding this paper. If you stay attentive and you understand all those areas and the technicalities which I'll be telling, believe me, you will understand the whole F8 paper in this class. Because I'll be making the base for each and every topic which you will be going to study in this paper, in this F8 exam. The second thing is that this paper, in terms of the exam, is different from the other paper which you have in the skill level. Like if you talk about the F7, you have 60 marks objective test question. But in this F8, when it comes to the objective test question, the marks are only 30. And when you talk about the case studies and knowledge based, by knowledge based, I mean the questions which comes directly and you have to write it straight away. Like for example, define the objective of the external audit, things like that. Knowledge based questions. So that is actually the 70 marks. So that makes sense. So this paper is different from the other paper of the skill level. So you have three questions when it comes to the case study: 30 marks, 20 marks, and 20 marks. So the 70 marks. So this paper is a bit different from the other papers. Now, why I'm explaining this? Because if you get 50 out of this 70 marks, you will straight away get pass. And if you get, for example, if you score half of the objective test question, like 15 marks, and 50 marks from 70 marks, then you will be getting 65. So that means make sure that you are actually making you pass in these 70. And then rest of the 30 marks will be the bonus. If you get 20 out of it, you will be getting 70 marks. If you get 30, you will be getting 80. So getting 50 in the audit and assurance paper is not a difficult task at all. All you need is to be conceptual. If you are learning the things up without concept, then you will not be having the same question as in the kit. Like most of the students are spending time on the learning answers from the kit. You will not be having that question in the exam again. You will be having a similar question although. So better to pick up the concepts from the question rather than cramming the answer itself. So it is not a wise decision if you are cramming or if you are learning the answers. It is not going to be a wise decision. So audit and assurance paper is a very important paper, and you have the objective test question of the 30 marks, and then you have the case study marks, which is 70, and it also includes the knowledge based parts, and you can expect up to 20 marks, which are straight away. So that means I'll be specifying you in the whole F8 exam that these are the topics which you should learn by heart, and you can get 20 marks, maximum 20 marks. Sometime it goes to 25, but if you talk about the practice of the examiner, so it is about 15 to 20 marks or 10 to 20 marks. That will be the knowledge base of straight away questions. So by learning those topics, you are actually enabling yourself to get all the marks. Like for example, if it is tested for 20 marks, you will get the straight away 20 marks from it. So this is the first thing you need to know. Now the second thing you need to know is the study resources. So first of all, my notes will be sufficient enough to pass the exam, and there will be no need of the book, textbook. But if still you want to study some book, you can go for the Kaplan one. But my notes are quite extensive, and it is exam focus as well, includes every topic. So first of all, the notes. The second thing we'll be using is the Kaplan kit. So why the Kaplan kit? Why not the BPP? Because the Kaplan kit has the examiner answers. So their answers are not self-written. The BPP has a problem. They write their own answers. Sometimes they are writing their own answers and the exam approach is different for that. I'm not saying that BPP is not a good kit to do, but you can do objective test questions from that. And if you talk about the case study questions, you should go for the Kaplan one. And the third thing will be the knowledge based notes. I'll be giving you the knowledge based notes as well. And these are the topics which you directly cram, which you directly learn. These notes are the complete notes, which requires reading. You have to read word by word because if you read my notes directly, you will be able to score 30 marks because your concepts will be clear and the objective test questions will be conceptual. So if you learn the knowledge based area, you will get the knowledge based marks. If you read all of the notes word by word, by understanding it, by making the sense, by understanding the concepts, you will be able to solve the objective test questions. So again, objective test questions, you can practice it from the exam kit, but the, the question which will be coming in the exam will be different. It's not the school studies which we are doing that you will be having the same question which you actually did in your school and the college. These are the professional studies and you will be having the completely new paper, although the paper will be similar to the previous ones. But still you will not be having the same question again. This is the quality of the ACCA. You will be having a completely new exam. So if you are going conceptual, everything will be fine. There will be some areas you have to learn, for example, knowledge based areas, for example, some substantive procedures. I'll be telling you that these are the procedure you should learn it, but mainly you will be going conceptually. Okay, now what is my approach of lectures? The first thing in explaining my approach is that I'll not be doing the book reading. This is not a professional way of delivering the lecture. I'll not be doing the book reading. And I'll be delivering the lecture. And when I'm delivering the lecture, I'll be making short notes for you. Whatever I'm writing on screen, you will get it after the class. And there is no need to write these things, because like if you are wasting time on writing these things, then you'll not be able to understand. Whatever I'm writing on the screen will be directly shared you after the class. So there is no need to write it. All right, so I was describing you my approach, and I'll be delivering the lecture, and whatever I'll be writing on the screen, you can get it after the class, and it will be put in your folder. You can access it on every class day. So I'll be making the short notes. I'll be making the summaries for you guys. So what you have to do is to just listen up the lecture. Do not waste time on writing whatever I'm writing on the screen. You will get it after the class. Right after the topic, I'll be doing the questions. Questions from Kit. Around 75% of the kit will be discussed in the class. The question which I am doing in the class will be your assignment as well. So you have to do it on your laptop or the PC, and you will be sending me the answers on the email which I'll be providing it to you. So on weekly basis, I'll be reviewing your answers, and I'll be telling you that where you are lacking. I'll not be forcing you to write the answers because you are professional students. Those who are writing the answers and making it review from me will be getting the pass assurance, because if you make it checked by me throughout the session, then obviously you will get a grip on the paper. And in the exam, you will not be having any doubt. Straight away, you will be passing the exam. This paper is a very easy paper when it comes to concept. This paper is much easier than F5 exam, much easier than F6, and much easier than F9. All you need to do is to understand the concepts. So questions from the kit, and then there will be the assignments. The questions which I am doing in the class, I am discussing in the class, all those questions will automatically will be your assignment. And obviously there's no need to mention it every time that you have to do this question yourself. You will do every question which I'm doing in class. The fourth thing is I'll be taking the tests and mock as well. Now the topic wise test which will be taken when we are done with each area, sorry, and then there will be three mock exam. The first half of the syllabus, the second half of the syllabus, and then full mock. So there will be three mocks. So tests and mocks, and obviously you are encouraged to appear in the tests and mocks, because if you are testing yourself during the preparation, then in the exam you will be having the pass assurance. You will be very confident regarding the exam. But if you go to the exam without testing yourself, then that is going to be your first test, and first test can be easily failed. So make sure you are serious in doing the assignments, appearing in the tests and the mocks as well. And then what if you have some queries? So if you have queries in the live class, you can straight away ask it. Like if you go to if you're using mobile, then you will be having the more option. If you see there's a more option, and there is a option over there which is raise hand. When you use the raise hand option, it will be shown to me on the screen that someone is asking the question, and I'll be replying to you straight away. But make sure I'm recording the classes as well for my data. So do not directly interrupt, and if you have any question, you can just raise your hand and I'll be pausing the video. I'll be answering you regarding your query. There's also the chat option which you can use if you have any question. So the live class is interactive. If you have any question, you can ask. And then when you are offline and you are reading something, and if you have any question, do not call me directly. It's not a professional way of dealing. So when you have any query, you can WhatsApp me, send me a message or voice note, and I'll be explaining to you straight away. And make sure that you are looking at the time as well, because I'm giving classes from Pakistan, so we have a different time over here. So make sure you are actually sending me the messages not too late. So this is all about the queries. And now let's come to the syllabus, which is an important thing to discuss. Syllabus and areas, which is a very important thing to discuss. Okay, we'll be starting from introduction to the audit. This is going to be your first chapter, introduction to the audit. And in this chapter, I'll be explaining to you what is audit and what is assurance. Because the name of your paper is audit and assurance. So what is the difference between audit and assurance? And then we'll be discussing the objective of the audit, the advantages and disadvantages, or you can say merits, or you can say values and limitations of external audit. And then we'll be discussing regarding the auditor, who can be the auditor. Like obviously there is a criteria for becoming an auditor. There is a criteria of doing the audit. So we'll be discussing all these things: audit and assurance, types of assurance, objective of audit, advantages and disadvantages. All these things we'll be discussing in the chapter number 1. So introduction to the audit is going to be the base of the audit. Then the second chapter we'll be discussing is ethics. Now, when you are dealing with the ethics, this is actually the guideline for the auditor. And we'll be discussing ACCA Code of Ethics. Like in this paper, you are assumed to be an auditor. You are the one who is doing the audit. So when you are doing the audit and you are doing audit on you are doing the audit of the client, there are many situations which may be presumed, which may be perceived as a dilemma. Now, dilemma is a situation where you are confused regarding the right course of action. So ACCA has made the life of the auditor easier by explaining all those situations in their ACCA Code of Ethics in advance. Like for example, if I'm doing the audit and the client offers me some significant gifts, like say for example, if I'm doing the audit and I go to the client on my old car, and when I go there, the finance director comes to me and say, like you are a very good person, you have done the chartered accountancy, you have good experience, and I feel bad to see your old car, and our company has decided that because you are doing the audit of our company and you are putting all your effort, so we have decided to gift you a new car. This is in response of your efforts which you are doing for the profession. and this is in response of your or efforts which you are doing for our organization. Now, I'm not putting any effort for the organization. I'm just doing my job by doing the audit for the shareholders. But something comes through your mind, look, yeah, this finance director is saying right, because I have spent much money in doing my qualification and I gained experience. Now I'm providing my services to them. So this is my right to accept this car as a gift. And then you accept that car as a gift. And a few days after, when you were doing the audit of that client, you found an irregularity, or for example, a fraud. And the fraud was $1 million fraud, and you were going to the finance director, and you entered the room of the finance director, and before you were and you were about to discuss regarding the fraud, and the finance director told you that how well your car is running. Are you satisfied with the car, or should I bring you the new one? Now he has actually cleverly mentioned you the car in the discussion, and now your objectivity will be compromised because you have accepted a car. So this is one of the example. ACCA Code of Ethics has described all those things in their Code of Ethics, like regarding the gifts and hospitality, regarding the loans. What if you are doing the audit of the bank and they offer you the loan, like they offer you the loan, like you're doing the audit and let's offer you a loan on a significantly reduced market rate, less than what other banks are charging. And regarding the fee matters, regarding the non-assurance services, regarding the familiarity matters. What if you are doing the audit of a client and the finance director is, for example, your wife or spouse, or for example, your brother? All those situations will be discussed in the ACCA Code of Ethics. So the ACCA will be describing you those situations. And then we'll be doing the third chapter, which is going to be the corporate governance. Now, the corporate governance is something which you have already studied in your F1 exam, Accountant in Business, the first paper you did of the ACCA. But I'm not going to take anything for granted that you already know this thing, but just mentioning that you have already done it. In this chapter, we'll be looking at the board structure, like EDs, NEDs. We'll be looking at the board committees. Sorry, the nomination committee, the remuneration committee, and the audit committee, the risk committee. We'll be discussing regarding the CEO and the chairman. We'll be discussing regarding the AGMs, annual general meetings, etc. So board structure, board composition, CEO and the chairman, annual general meetings, many things in the corporate governance. Then we'll be doing the internal audit. Now again, this is something you have already studied in the F1 exam. What is internal audit? What is the difference between internal and external audit? This is because the audit we are doing in a FATE exam is the external audit. Like unless and until I say internal audit, when I'm using the term audit, that means external audit, because all those things which we'll be looking at belongs to the external audit. There is a specific chapter which is related to the internal audit. Otherwise, when we are using the term audit in a FATE exam, that means external audit. But there is a specific chapter related to the internal audit. So difference between internal and external audit. And then functions performed by internal audit, functions of internal audit, like what activities you perform in the internal audit, and there will be outsourcing of internal audit. What if the entity is not having their own department and they have outsourced it to another firm? So we'll be discussing outsourcing of the internal audit. The fifth chapter we will be doing is the planning. Now, whatever you are doing, like for example, have you seen the cricket matches? When it starts, all the team gathered in a round circle and they are discussing something. So they are actually making a plan that how to go with this team. Similarly, if you are starting a business, you make a business plan first. Whatever you are doing, the first stage of that process is actually the planning. Similarly, when you are doing the audit, so the first stage of the audit cycle is planning. Whenever you are doing the audit, the first thing you will be doing is the planning. Now, what we do in the planning, the main activity we do is understanding the entity. Understanding the entity. Understanding the entity. Entity means the client which financial statements we are auditing. Whose financial statements are we auditing is understanding the entity, understanding the client. So what we'll be understanding, we'll be looking at their policies, we'll be looking at their industry, we'll be looking at the laws and regulations related to that industry, their financing structure, their group structure. For example, if there are a group of companies, their key shareholders or the major shareholders, key customers because they will be key receivables, key suppliers because they will be key payables, etc. So we will be taking the detailed understanding of the client. And while be taking the detailed understanding of the client, there will be an objective of that. While be taking the detailed understanding of the client, there will be an objective of that. And the objective will be related to the risk of material misstatement. Obviously, I cannot describe you this thing over here, but just to mention it that we'll be concerned regarding the risk of material misstatement. And let me tell you in the plain words, but I cannot explain this huge area now, but let me explain you in the plain words that whenever we are doing the audit, we are concerned that the financial statements may be manipulated. Like if they were so sure regarding their financial statements, there will be no concept of the audit. Like if the shareholders trust the directors, then why they will be calling us to do the audit? Obviously, there is some lack of trust over there. The directors may have manipulated the financial statement. They may have exaggerated it. They may have window dressed it. That is why shareholders have hired us to perform the audit. So whenever we are doing the audit, we will be keeping this thing in our mind that the financial statement may be materially misstated. The financial statement may have the misstatements. By misstatements, we mean something will not be according to the standard, something may be manipulated. So at the planning stage, we'll be identifying all those areas which may have the misstatements in it. And then we'll be discussing this thing in detail when we come to the planning. After that, there will be internal controls. Now, the internal controls involve sales system, purchase system, inventory system. Now, if this is coming into your mind that I previously said that we are discussing the external audit. Now, why we are looking at their system? So the answer to this question is we are looking at their system because if their system is strong, their financial statements will be reliable as well. Because the financial statements are prepared from the system. Sales system produces the sales figure. Purchase system produces the purchase figure, which goes to the financial statements. So if their system is strong, we will be able to place reliance on their system. And as a result, we'll be doing less testing. If their system is weak, then ultimately we have to do the detailed testing because their figures which are in the financial statements will not be reliable. Then the next chapter will be substantive procedures. Now the substantive procedure means that now we'll be actually testing the financial statements. We'll be looking at the revenue, we'll be checking the cost of sales, we'll be collecting the evidence on the non-current assets, we'll be checking the PPE, we'll be looking at the inventory figure, we'll be checking their receivable balances, we'll be checking their payable balances, provisions, etc. So one more thing to tell you over here is that you should have the financial accounting knowledge when you are dealing with the F8 paper. The students who have not taken F7, they should take the F7 first, and then they should take F8. Don't skip F7 and then take F8 because otherwise you will be having significant issues, too much issues. Then there will be review, and then the last stage will be the report to the shareholders. And then there will be some other topics such as there will be CATs, computer assisted audit techniques. Nowadays we perform the audit by using audit softwares. So we'll be discussing those audit softwares thing over here. And then the sampling, which you did in F2. We cannot test the 100% transactions. So we'll be doing the audit on sampling basis. That means we'll be auditing a portion of the financial statements, but not all the financial statements and all the related records. A portion of financial statement means a complete set of financial statements, but the supporting evidence, for example, we are checking the sales. Now the supporting evidence are sales invoices. It is not possible we go through all the sales invoices. So we'll be looking at some percentage of it. That is known as the sampling. So let me sum up the F8 thing in the introductory class. That if you want to pass F8, if you want to pass F8 paper, so you need to have three things. First of all, the English, because if you are not able to explain what is in your mind, then you won't get any marks. So you should have a reasonable English, both for understanding the requirements and both for writing your answers. The second thing is financial accounting knowledge. And the third thing is common sense, because in the F8 exam, there will be many areas which actually depends on your conceptual understanding rather than uh, the knowledge you have crammed. So this is what we'll be discussing in the F8 exam. So this was our introductory class, and from tomorrow we'll be starting the topics. So if you have any question, you can ask me on the WhatsApp. Take care.